Draft League City. You could walk these streets 100 times and find something new every day. Bunch of no-good players trying to outdo each other at every turn, all trying to be the head honch crow. They take their battles to the underbelly, and the underbelly take the fight to us. And here I am, in the middle of the haze, Detective Max Stryker, DLPD, the long hammer arm of the law. This town may have been a shithole, but hell, no one else was gonna try and keep it clean. That's when I got the call from my partner. Sounded like Murphy had a lead on Don Mephisto. Time would tell, but I'd wish that'd be the case.
We got bigger core fish to fry. You're going to want to take a look at this.
So this is basically going to be a horrifically bad loss, but they miss the dual wing beat, and this is huge. Because guys scored KO'd my other 4 months, and suddenly we are right back in this.
What exactly am I looking at here, Murphy? So another schmuck gets on the wrong side of Lady Luck, send flowers. This is Draft League City, kid. This shit's a dime a dozen. Hell, I ain't gonna weep for him. I've seen fewer Zubats in a cave from this kind of stuff.
Check it out. The incident from 8 years ago.
So this is basically going to be a horrifically bad loss, but he misses a Stone Edge, and that is huge. Because Stone Edge KO'd my other 2 mons, and suddenly we are right back in this.
Damn near same words, Stryker. Can't be a coincidence.
Parasect Germain? I thought that son of a bitch got out of the game years ago. Run of bad luck in 17. What the hell's he doing back?
There's more. Looks like our man got his hands on a certain file.
My God. There's no telling what kind of critical damage he could do with those losers on his side. This is about to get messier than a Tauros in a china shop. Better make sure the coffee's hot, Murphy, because we're in for one hell of a night. Sometimes I wonder why I do this job.
Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome back to the PPL Bolt Division. Yes indeed, we are going into week 5. Now, last week we did pick up a win in dubious circumstances, but we take what we can get, and I'm going to try and use that as a platform to build on. It's not going to be easy, because this week we take on Squid DaFeed and the Lisbon Arcanines. He is a very, very talented player. His link's down in the description, along with everyone else in the Bolt and Flare divisions. Make sure you check him and them out. He's a very talented player with a very, very scary team. The things he can choose from are Manaphy, Landorus Therian, Weavile, Tinkerton, Hisuian Zoroark, Bellibolt, Abomasnow, Hawlucha, Weezing, Armarouge, and Ditto. He's got a lot of very powerful, potent setup. He's got a lot of naturally, stupidly bulky things, and that Hisuian Zoroark is there to be tricksy and annoying. He's also got one of the best counters to setup going, of course, in the form of Ditto. So, when it comes to it, the team I decided to bring starts with my Hisuian Samurott. I have gone with a very specially defensive Assault Vest set. Max special defense, 208 in attack with an adamant nature, the rest into HP. We've got Ceaseless Edge, Aqua Cutter, Sucker Punch, and Brick Break going on there. This is one of my ways of trying to deal with the Hisuian Zoroark. Of course, Brick Break on there in case of that Abomasnow going for the what's it called? The Aurora Veil. It's also a decent check to the Armor Rouge. Aware that thing can get things to hit you super effectively, Energy Ball and Aura Sphere among them. But this will take any one hit at least from any of those guys and be able to hit back fairly super effectively, I'm hoping. Next up, we have Heavy Duty Boots, Terra Normal, Pyroar, 208 speed, timid nature, max special attack, 48 HP. We've got Flamethrower, Dark Pulse, Hyper Voice and Taunt on there. All of these moves will hit my opponent very hard indeed. I also have Taunt on there with the Terra Normal. This will allow me to take any one hit from Manaphy and indeed the Abomasnow with the Terra Normal. I can Taunt both to avoid setup, both offensively and defensively. It outspeeds a fair amount of my opponent's team as well. Hoping that it can do a decent amount of damage, probably in the mid game, to set up for something else later on down the line. And one of those something else's later on down the line is looking to be my Choice Scarfed Annihilate. Max attack, adamant, 236 speed, 20 for def. Fairly standard Scarfed set, close combat, Rage Fist, U-turn and Ice Punch. I have to have Ice Punch on there, it's my next best coverage move. Obviously I want Dual Stab, U-turn is standard. Excuse me, on a Scarfer. Ice Punch is my next best coverage move. I'm not anticipating Landorus, but it's better to be prepared. This will also be able to allow me to hit the Hawlucha. And it's a decent enough coverage move to 2-hit KO Hisuian Zoroark. I couldn't justify running Night Slash, I wanted to, but I needed the general coverage of Ice Punch over that. Next up, we have your Common or Garden physically defensive leftovers Sylveon, coming in here with near max HP, max defense, Hyper Voice, Yawn, Wish and Protect. This is another one of my answers to those very threatening special attackers in the form of Manaphy, Hisuian Zoroark and the Armor Rouge. This should do decently well against any of them. Hyper Voice is my only form of attack. Now I'm well aware that if that Abomasnow comes and it isn't running a Aurora Veil, it could run Soundproof. Also my chair is broken. Up you go, there we go, lovely. Hyper Voice won't affect it if it's Soundproof, but I can live any hit from it easily. Go for a Yawn, and that's kind of going to be Sylveon's thing. With me hoping to set up a lot of layers of spikes with the Samurott, I'm hoping that going for Yawn on these special attackers, while I can't necessarily do all that much to them, I can force them out with Yawn hopefully, get some chip damage and go from there, keep the team healthy with Wish. Now next up we have my Toxtricity, and this is a bit of an odd set, to be honest. It is max HP, max defense with a modest nature. We're rocking Overdrive, Boom Burst, Protect and Volt Switch. This is my main answer to the Hawlucha and the Tinkaton. It's not so much based on its stats as its typing. This thing resists everything they have to throw at it, outside of like a rogue Bulldoze from Tinkaton, which I'll still live, and an even roguer Power Herb Dig from Hawlucha. This is kind of why I have Protect on there. If I was running Squid's team, I'd be running Power Herb Dig, Unburden Hawlucha to go for that. So if that's happening, I can deal with it. It'll take any hits from these guys and be able to hit back. I've got a Volt Switch on there. I'm not anticipating Landorus, so I'm thinking Volt Switch should be fairly free. Final team member is going to be my Cyclizar. We have 180 speed, Jolly Nature, max special defense, 76 HP Assault Vest, regen set, fairly standard, Body Slam, Knockoff, U-turn and Rapid Spin. Yeah, Cyclizar does as Cyclizar does. This EV spread will allow me to at least take a Tail Glow boosted Dazzling Gleam from the Manaphy. It'll also let me take, hopefully, multiple hits from the Hisuian Zoroark. And indeed the Armor Rouge, even if it is packing that Aura Sphere. Get some knockoffs, get some U-turns, do what Cyclizar does. So that's my team. Looking at Squids, there's a lot of things he could do here. There's a lot of things I'm expecting. The only two real shoo-ins that I'm absolutely guaranteeing myself will be there, excuse me, are Manaphy and the Zoroark. I don't see Landorus coming. Running around with an Intimidate Mon is too much of a threat against Defiant Annihilate. Weavile is very likely, Tinkaton is very likely. Hawlucha I could see coming. Something will want to be there for the Annihilate. For me, it was always going to be the Tinkaton. Could also be the Weezing. I'm not really expecting Ditto. My team has not historically done well with setup, so I don't see the point of it. Armarouge is a possibility. Abomasnow I was certain would be coming in some way or another, either to block out my Sylveon, because Spec Sylveon does do pretty decently here, or to set up the Aurora Veil. Bellibolt I didn't really pay too much attention to. We'll see if that comes back to bite me, if he brings it or not. But yeah, it's really difficult to prep for this, but I was feeling decently confident going in. So yeah, let's get right on into the battle and see how things played out. So, as you can see, Squid decided to bring Weavile, Hisuian Zoroark, Manaphy, Hawlucha, Bellibolt, and Armarouge. So, no Abomasnow, no Tinkaton. I was anticipating Tinkaton massively, but looking at what he has brought, I still feel fairly confident in my switch-ins to his various threats. I'm going to leave with Scarf Annihilate all day, every day. So, let's see how he decides to counter. So, here we are with the matchup against Squid DaFeed and the Lisbon Arcanines. As you can see, he is going to lead with his Bellibolt. Big old Bellibolt comes in here as I just simply lead with my Annihilate. And early game, I'm just going to click the U-turn button. Given that he hasn't brought Tinkaton or the Weezing, I want to see what his switch-in is to this guy, because he's going to have to go into it here and stop me from trying to do nasty things early on. So, he's going to immediately withdraw the Bellibolt. And he is actually going to go into here his Hawlucha. Straight into Hawlucha and shows Mold Breaker, so no Power Herb shenanigans. That does absolutely nothing, and he reveals Rocky Helmet. So far be it from this being an offensive build, it's looking quite defensive as his immediate answer to my Annihilate, which is cool. What this allows me to do, though, is just go straight into my Toxtricity, as you'll see here, because he's going to be forced out if this is his answer to Annihilate, and I can get a free Volt Switch off. And that's what's going to happen. He is going to switch out his Hawlucha on my Toxtricity and go straight back into his Bellibolt. I'm going to go for the Volt Switch. This is really not going to do a huge whole amount to it. It's looking to be Spadef-ish. I wasn't really taking calcs too seriously, which I probably should have been paying more attention to. So now I have to decide what to go into on this guy. And Cyclizar is the answer. It's already becoming apparent to me that this Bellibolt is going to be a problem. I have no way of hitting it super effectively. And I'm not packing Toxic on my Toxtricity, which I'd quite like now in hindsight. But the answer is probably just going to be to knock off this thing's leftovers, get rid of that passive recovery as quickly as possible with Cyclizar. There's not a lot he can do to me in response, so I feel fairly safe doing this. The fact that he's switching out on all my physical attackers kind of cements that he's Spadef. He is going to go straight here into his Manaphy, as I'm going to go for the knockoff. And as you'll see, we do get rid of leftovers, so no Resto Chesto stuff going on here. And now I have to react quickly to this guy and see exactly what kind of setup we're looking at, because it's almost a guarantee that there's going to be setup of some kind. U-turn is always going to be my play here. I outspeed him very easily. There's no chance that I don't outspeed him. And my play is probably to U-turn into my Sylveon. And U-turn is going to be the play. We do a nice little bit of chip. He's being chipped down, which is always nice on a Manaphy. And now I have to think of something to go into, and Sinatra, my Sylveon, is really the best option here. Hyper Voice is pretty free. Also, if it starts getting out of control with setup, I can just go for the Yawn straight off the bat. So in comes Sylveon, and as you can see, he's actually going to go for the Take Heart. So this isn't too much of an issue, I'm not thinking. Like, I can still take hits very well, and Take Heart will get rid of status, but not Yawn. However, he is packing Substitute. This is mildly problematic, because as you'll see, it's going to block my Yawn. And he could continue to just set up here, but he has to have Stab and he has to have coverage, which is probably going to be Dazzling Gleam. Now, I can take any of them at +1, and crucially, I will 2-hit KO him through the Substitute with Hyper Voice. Now, he'll know he can take a hit even through the sub. He is going to go for Scald. That's going to do not a massive amount of damage to me. I'm still feeling very comfortable. He does get the burn, which is unfortunate if nothing else. But as you'll see here, he can't 2-hit KO me, and I am going to take him out through the sub next turn with Hyper Voice, which is still, like I say, fairly free to go to. I take a little bit of chip with the burn, and now we have to see if he's going to try and save this or just get big damage on my Sylveon here. He is actually going to withdraw, which is a good call on his part because I did go for Hyper Voice. And he is going to go straight on back into his Bellibolt, which I'm going to go for a Hyper Voice on. As you can see, it does not a great amount. He does have Electromorphosis as his ability, no static there, which is fun. My Hyper Voice really isn't doing a massive amount to him. We haven't actually seen any of his moves yet. He's kind of just been coming in and soaking up hits where he needs to. It's a very good early use of Bellibolt, and I'm starting to realise even more and more how much of a problem this guy is. I'm thinking either Yawn or Wish to go for here. Wish is going to be the one I opt to use, because I really don't fear anything this guy can do to me offensively, and he can't Toxic me because I'm already burnt. So I go for the Wish, looking to get my health back. He is actually just going to go straight for Volt Switch, which does a good amount because of the Electromorphosis, but I'm again not too worried because I have a Wish coming in and I can protect on whatever he goes into. And in comes the next best thing to take a Hyper Voice on his side. That is going to be the Armor Rouge. Now, I say, I have a Wish coming in and I really want to scout this thing out. A choice set either way on this guy is very good into my team. So my big play here is just go for Protect. Scout out exactly what he's going to do, if he's choiced what he's going to lock himself into. And kind of go from there. Once I'm back to a decent amount with the Wish coming in, I'll be able to take this thing on just a little bit better. Maybe yawn it around and see what we can do. And so, Protect. Going to see what he's going to go for here. Squid's actually going to over-predict and go for the Aura Sphere, I guess predicting my switch into my Hisuian Samurott, which would have taken a big old hit, especially if this thing is Specs. But now, I'm up to a very good amount of health. If he is choiced in any way, he is going to have to switch out here. This is a matchup I will win 1v1 very easily against a choiced Armor Rouge of any kind. So my play, realistically, is either to just go for a Hyper Voice or get another Wish incoming to try and take a hit from whatever switch is in. So he's going to withdraw. I actually end up going for an interesting middle ground play, knowing that he's going to go into this Bellibolt. And this is where I'm going to try and trap the Bellibolt and go for the Yawn. So Yawn is going to come in on the Bellibolt. I want this thing to go to sleep. But as we know, he is packing Volt Switch, so he can just Volt Switch on out as he sees fit and not really fear the Yawn. So my play here is to go for Protect. Knowing that that's coming, he's going to try and Volt Switch out and go into something more favourable. He'll take a Hyper Voice very easily, so I'm just going to go for Protect and force him to take that sleep. And that's what happens. I go for the Protect, and this Bellibolt is in fact going to go for the Volt Switch. That is not going to work. He's trapped in here with me, mwahaha, and yeah, he is going to go to sleep after leftovers and burn and all that good stuff happens. Which is good for me. It means I can try and get some free damage on it while he burns sleep turns if that's what he opts to do. He doesn't really fear my Sylveon offensively, which is fair. I can't do much damage to him. And as you'll see here, he is going to go to sleep, and this is where I learned that those big things on the side of his head are actually his eyes. Didn't know that till now. But what is going to happen here is kind of a problem on my part. I tunnel vision quite badly. What I should have done immediately was go into Annihilate and force this thing out. What I end up doing is trying to go for loads of Hyper Voice chip damage. So I might be speeding through because, spoiler alert, he's going to stay asleep for many, many turns. And I'm going to go for many, many Hyper Voices once I'm comfortable with my health. So Wish is what I go for first. He is going to stay in and burn sleep turns. Now again, what I should have done was gone into Annihilate immediately, or indeed my Cyclozar to try and get a knockoff onto this thing. I didn't do either of those. I tunneled in on Sylveon, causing as much damage to it as possible before it woke up, and you'll see after we sort of get to the end of this portion that is going to be a bit of a problem for me. So here I'm going for a final Hyper Voice of this exchange. As you'll see, because he's going to wake up, and this is where it is revealed, and then I remember he has Slack Off. I'd forgotten that Bellibolted gets Slack Off. That's a big problem, because all that hard work has now basically been for nothing. He's got himself back to basically near full health. And he's got Electromorphosis on there as well, so his next hit is going to be quite a big one. Yeah, I tunneled way too hard on Sylveon, causing this thing damage. I completely spaced on Slack Off. And now we have a problem. I end up going for Wish here, anticipating a Volt Switch to cause me a decent amount of damage, and he's going to reveal Acid Spray, and this is even more of a problem. With that harsh Spadef drop, he is going to be causing way too much damage to me with an incoming Volt Switch. So I'm going to have to try and react to that as quickly as possible. I don't have an immunity because my Sand Slash isn't here. So I'm going to have to decide very quickly what to go into on this guy. You ready for another really bad play on my part? Sure you are! I opt to go into my Pyroar here, having basically seen that this thing is very specially defensive. He is going to go once again for Acid Spray. This isn't going to do too much to me. I am going to get the Wish back to full, which is irrelevant because his next Volt Switch is easily going to take me out from there. Essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to outspeed him, get a hit off, he's going to get Electromorphosis, and at -2, Volt Switch is going to kill. What I end up doing is deciding to just pop my Terra normal immediately and go for Hyper Voice and see how much damage I can do to it from full. This was a terrible mistake. What I should have done when Sylveon didn't work out was immediately go into Cyclizar. That's what I should have done, because Cyclizar forced him out every time. I can knock something off, I can U-turn, I can do whatever I need. But as you'll see, what I end up doing is just terroring up and going for my Hyper Voice, knowing it's not going to take him out. It was a really dumb play on my part, and you'll see why in just a second. So here we go. Pyroar is going to Terra up here and go into my big old Terra Normal to get off a nice boosted Hyper Voice. Problem is, he's clearly specially defensive, and Pyroar is not the strongest. And as you'll see, I'm not the only one terroring on this turn, because Squid is also going to Terra his Bellibolt. And as you can see, he's also gone Stab. He is Terra Electric Bellibolt, so now this Volt Switch is absolutely going to kill me. I'm going to outspeed, I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice, Terra boosted. This is going to do absolutely fucking nothing. It gives the Electromorphosis, and he is going to go for Parabolic Charge. And this is where I learn he gets Parabolic Charge. It immediately one-shots me, and he gets back to full. This is not good. So my Terramon is completely wasted. Pyro goes down having essentially done nothing. He is back to full. He doesn't even need the leftovers, and now I have to scramble for an answer. So, 2 turns too late, I go into my Cyclizar. He is not taking me out from this range, not even a little bit. Even Electromorphosis boosted, he is not taking out my Cyclizar from there, and Squid knows this and has already clearly seen that this Pokemon is a massive problem for me. I don't have a way of dealing with it. At the moment, my way of dealing with it is take out the rest of his 5 and put it to sleep. So he is going to withdraw. He has no reason staying in here, and he has a very easy sack in the form of his Manaphy, which he can just bring in. It's not doing anything anymore this game. I go for knockoff and get rid of the Manaphy. So Cyclizar notches another KO, which is, I guess, nice. And now we'll see what Squid is going to bring in. And that is going to be, as you can see, the Weavile. So Weavile comes in here, and a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not staying in, because this Weavile can outspeed me, and it will absolutely one-shot me with Icicle Crash. On the other hand, it could of course be that Zoroark. There's very few things that his Zoroark can pretend to be now that he's shown me so many and damage has been done to a few. Either way, my best play is always to go into my Sylveon here. It's defensive, so it'll take a hit from the Weavile the best, and it's naturally very specially bulky, so it'll take hits from the Hisuian Zoroark the best. So, as you can see, I'm going to hard switch, not going to bother going for the U-turn here. in case it's the real Weavile. I'm going to go straight into my Sylveon as he goes for Hyper Voice. So, he is very much the Hisuian Zoroark. But Hyper Voice, even with the burn damage negating my leftovers, I will live another one. And I really need damage on this guy just to make sure he can't do anything particularly nasty to me. Hisuian Zoroark, if he's choiced, he's probably going to be switching out here. If he's setting up, I want to at least try and punish him. And then probably go hard into my Cyclizar and Revenge, because I'll be quicker. So that's what's going to happen. He's actually end up going to go for the nasty plot with the Hisuian Zoroark, which I'm going to be like, cool, I'll punish that. I'm going to go for Hyper Voice. We do end up critting him from full, and he is revealed to be the Zoroark before he can do any real damage to my team. He's going to go down. So that is good. This frees up Annihilate so much more. If I can start trying to get some damage on the Bellibolt and maybe try and take his Hawlucha down to like 50% if possible, then Annihilate can really go in here because he doesn't have an immunity to close combat anymore. So that's the plan. Unfortunately, this guy is still here and is getting in the way of my plan. I'm really kind of forced to wish here if I want Sinatra to do anything else. Either that, or I just have to go hard into, say, Cyclizar, because this thing is proving really, really problematic to deal with. I didn't prep for it well, and it's punishing me, and I need to think fast to try and work out how I'm going to deal with it. I end up going for Yawn here on the Bellibolt. As you can see, he is going to just straight up go for Acid Spray to lower my SpDef. Now, what I could do here is Protect. He has seen that before, so there's no guarantee it's going to work again. So now we get into these mind games. Am I going to Protect? Is he just going to hard switch? What are we doing? What I end up doing is going into Primeape, hoping that he's going to go for another Acid Spray, and that will prop my Defiant and I can get a big hit off on something. As you can see, he is actually just going to hard withdraw to avoid the Yawn, and he's going to go into his Armor Rouge. Now, my play realistically should have been to go for Rage Fist here, because I'm pretty sure I'm EV'd to outpace a Choice Scarfed Armor Rouge. But there's always the chance that he is a very bulky set with like Calm Mind still. At that point, he would probably be EV'd to take a basic Rage Fist. So I was in a bit of a quandary about what to do here. Do I just U-turn? Is he just going to go hard into his Hawlucha this time? So in the end, I think U-turn on balance is probably my best play, and that's what I'm going to do. He's going to switch out because it would still be neutral, and he's got an answer to this, and of course that answer is going to be his Hawlucha. So in comes the Hawlucha, and my U-turn once again is going to do very little. But once again, this is going to provide me with a very free switch into my Toxtricity. And in it comes. Toxtricity going to hit the field once again. This is, as always, a very free Volt Switch for me, but in the back of my mind, I know what's going to happen. He is literally just going to go into that Bellibolt once more. Boom Burst is actually going to be my best move against it. So that's what I click. He's going to switch out. He's going to go back into this bloody Bellibolt, which I'm really, really wishing I had Toxic for. And now we'll see how much Boom Burst can do, and the answer is about a third. He's getting Electromorphosis boosts, but I am a very bulky Toxtricity. I'm not especially bulky, but I have the HP to live hits even from a boosted attack from this guy. So I'm thinking, do I just keep on going for Boom Burst? At this point, I'm thinking also, he's only used Slack Off once. Is there a way I can get him to use them all? So I go for Boom Burst again, and as you can see, it's not quite looking like a 3-hit KO. He's going to go for his second Slack Off, and I'm like noting down when he uses Slack Off at this point. I'm still not particularly bothered by an Electromorphosis boosted hit. Realistically, once again, I really should have just gone hard into Cyclizar here. I had no real reason staying in, but once again, I tunneled on Boom Burst, and I'm really not sure why I wasn't thinking straighter. See, I go for it again. It's still a 3-hit KO from this range, like, and it's basically 3 or 4 hit KO range going on as Acid Spray comes in to do very little. So he's always going to have a free turn to hit me and then slack off. This is the thing. So yeah, here, what I absolutely should have done was gone into Cyclizar. I'm not getting anywhere with these Boom Bursts, but I'm just looking at it going, I have to keep Boom Bursting. I have to try and waste these slack offs. Unfortunately, I'm just not doing enough damage to the point where that is a viable strategy, but I've sort of zoned in on it and nothing else entered my mind. I was like, this is what I have to do. Unfortunately, probably not my best option. So you can see Boom Burst here comes in and he is going to be able to slack off here. That's the 3rd use of his 8, but realistically this is a matchup he's going to win. So, one more Boom Burst. It's still a 2-hit KO from the range he's at. Potentially. Like, there's no guarantee of that. This is where he goes for Parabolic Charge, and me at -2, him Terrored. This does stupid amounts of damage. And he's back to near full. Once again, he's still got the leftovers. And I'm rapidly losing my mind about how I'm going to deal with this thing. I've played around it really badly so far. What I should have kept doing is just going into Cyclizar. I had no reason not to be going into Cyclizar. Every time. As you can see here, I finally come to my senses and I'm able to go into my Cyclizar, predicting probably another Parabolic Charge. But he's not Electromorphosed at this point. He does have the Terror Boost, but it's not going to be able to 2-hit KO me from there, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, as you can see, it does essentially nothing. This is what I should have done so long ago. I've taken so much unnecessary damage and used so many unnecessary moves trying to chip down this guy with strategies that were never going to work in the first place. This is the point where I switched up my strategy. If I'd have gone for U-turn, I got rid of the leftovers. But what I do is I just go for the U-turn. Because if he's staying in, I'm like, oh, he might be going for Acid Spray just to try and, you know, chunk me down a little bit more with that. So I was thinking, is now my chance to try and go into my Annihilate and nab the boost I'm going to get from Defiant. So I U-turn out, go into my Annihilate predicting the Acid Spray, and he goes for Volt Switch. He is charged with power, and this does so much damage, and now I can't even go for Ice Punch on the Hawlucha because the Rocky Helmet will kill me. So he's once again played around me incredibly effectively with this damned Bellibolt. And now my Annihilate essentially only has one good hit left in it against this Hawlucha, and that's going to be that. Thankfully, when it comes to Hawlucha, I do still have my Toxtricity. And it is at the range of health where with Protect it will take 2 Brave Birds. So as you can see, he goes for it. This takes me down to 55, it's doing 65-ish damage. But I'll be able to live another one. So what I should have done here immediately was just go for Volt Switch. What I do is end up going for Protect, in case he goes for a coverage move. In the end, he is just going to switch out and he's going to go back into this guy. This bane of my existence. My Protect is wasted. Not a lot I can do about that, but I can try and get myself back up to a semi-respectable range of health. He's doing the same. After another round of leftovers, he's going to be basically back at full where he started the match, and I'm just like, I don't know how to deal with this thing, because I've played very badly around it. I have very few things left that can do any meaningful damage to it. Problem is, with Annihilate so low, I can't just go for close combat and hope to hit it, because I'll die to the Rocky Helmet from the incoming Hawlucha. So I go for the Boom Burst. He is going to go for the Electromorphosis Terror Boosted Volt Switch, and that is going to take out my Toxtricity. So, in on Squid's side comes the real Weavile. And I have to work out exactly what I'm going to go into on this. I can't realistically go into the Sylveon. The Sylveon is going to have to wish up on something else. My next best thing is the Samurott. If I go into Annihilate, he could have Ice Shard, or he could just hard switch into the the Hawlucha, and Icicle Crash from this thing will kill my Cyclizar. So I have to go into my Samurott here, and I have to hope to take a low kick if he's packing it, and just go for a Brick Break, which was brought for screens or, you know, Aurora Veil, which he just hasn't brought. So I have to go for the Brick Break and hope to do enough damage to this guy. He is going to end up switching out, seeing the Brick Break or the Sacred Sword coming. He is just going to go hard into his Hawlucha to take that hit. I say I'm going to go for the Brick Break. This is going to do very, very little. I'm going to take a bit of Rocky Helmet chip as well. And now we have a problem because my switch-ins to this guy are significantly limited. I have to weigh up what I'm going to need all my Pokemon for. I'm kind of at a loss because I'm taking chip damage all over the place, and then in the back of my mind I'm like, he's still got this bloody Bellibolt that I can't deal with. And I'm kind of lost here. I'm thinking that I just need to try and get some hazards up when I can. I know it's late, but that might be my only chance, because the only Pokemon that really has the power to bring this back for me is going to be the Sylveon. If I can get that thing to sleep, waste its recovery, and maybe get lucky with some crits, because if he runs out of Slack-Offs, he's got Acid Spray + Parabolic Charge, which is going to be a problem. So I'm really backed into a corner here, and I'm not entirely sure what I need to do. Running out of time on my turns, it's a problem. I end up with 3 seconds left on my timer going into my Sylveon, which at the very least can directly threaten this Hawlucha and hope to sort of scare it out into something else. In the end, he's going to reveal that he has Roost, so he's going to get himself right the heck on back to full, which is a huge problem. A lot of my things that are able to take this guy out are either at low health or dead. So, the Hawlucha is going to withdraw, and in its place is going to come the Armor Rouge. I end up going for the Hyper Voice here. I probably ought to have gone for the Wish. That would have been arguably a better play, knowing that I could probably take a hit from what's likely a very defensive Hawlucha. But in the end, I just go for the Hyper Voice, get some chip damage onto the incoming Armor Rouge, and now we have to go from there. I end up clicking Protect, thinking that he still might be choice locked. He is going to end up going for the Calm Mind, which is just a problem. He's not choiced in the slightest, and now we have to go from here, because now it's looking like Calm Mind 3 attacks. One of those is Aura Sphere, we know. He could have Flash Cannon for the Sylveon. He will have Armor Cannon, I'm certain. And maybe Psyshock as well. Either way, the only play I really have here is to go into my Samurott and hope that he goes for Stab Psychic, or indeed Stab Fire, one of the two I'll be able to take and sort of go from there. So I go into my Samurott as he goes for Trick Room, which absolutely blindsided me. I did not see it coming in the slightest, and now I have to calc, I have to work out what I'm doing, because he's going to outslow me, which means he's going to go for the Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere actually will not kill me, probably. It will depend on his investment. Depending on his investment, it probably works out at about a 50-50 as to whether he takes me out. If he's like max modest, he could well do. But I have to decide what to do here. As you can see from the timer, I actually end up running out of time on this turn. He goes for Aura Sphere, and it's my Monumental Bulk that saves me. The game picks Ceaseless Edge for me to go for, which is super nice. It hits, takes out the Armor Rouge, I get up a layer of spikes for my trouble. But it is literally only the heavy Spidef investment plus Assault Vest that saves me there. Because if Samurott doesn't live that hit, he just sweeps through the rest of my team under Trick Room. As it is, he's going to go into the Bellibolt, which is absolutely going to outslow everything I have left in Trick Room. So I have to weigh up whether I want to make a switch or try and go for some damage. What I end up doing here is going for Sucker Punch damage. It nearly takes him out. Nearly, but not quite. He is going to go for Parabolic Charge. Now, he's not going to get a massive amount of health back off this, thankfully, because I'm already so low. He's going to take out Samurott, who's managed to get himself a KO, and he's at about 20 to 25%. Unfortunately, I have nothing that outslows him that will take him out from that range, especially because he's still got his bloody leftovers. Now, realistically, my play here every time is to just go into my Cyclozar. It'll at the very least take the hits better and be able to hopefully stall out some of this Trick Room that we've got going on. So, Cyclozar is the play, but I go into Annihilate forgetting that there is one turn of Trick Room left. I completely spaced on Trick Room. Again, I spaced a lot in this fight. I wasn't in it. I wasn't on my game. As much as you can say I have any kind of game when it comes to this. But I forget that Trick Room still has a turn left, and in my mind, I'm like, I have one hit left with Annihilate. He can't risk this guy, he needs to heal up on something. He's going to go into his Hawlucha, and there's a turn of Trick Room left, and he goes for Parabolic Charge, and he kills me. The crit obviously didn't matter. But yeah, that's where I'm like, the only way I'll win this game is if I get monumentally lucky, because all I have left is Sylveon and Cyclozar. So he gets leftovers back, he heals up as much as he can, and once again, several turns too late is when I'm able to go into my Cyclozar here and just try and do something. Knockoff is what I decided to go for. He ends up going for Slack Off. I finally am able to get rid of his leftovers, like a million years too late. This does like a useful amount of damage, and yeah, his leftovers are gone. And now the Twisted Dimensions return to normal. This is what I should have done before wasting half my squad. So now I'm going to go for Body Slam. It is the best thing I have to hit this guy on the rest of my team. Body Slam, as you can see though, is not doing anywhere nearly enough to this guy. And he's able to go for Acid Spray. And realistically what he can do here is just Acid Spray, Parabolic Charge his way to victory. My only play is to just hope against hope that I can get a crit with Body Slam. It's what I have to hope for. As you can see, it's not forthcoming there, and he's at low enough health where he's just going to be able to Slack Off or Parabolic Charge all that damage away. Now, Parabolic Charge will not kill me from that range, but it's going to do more than enough to put him well out of range of my Body Slams. If I had loads of attack investment and was packing like Double Edge, then maybe things could have turned out differently. As you can see though, Body Slam is not doing the damage. He is going to get that Electromorphosis, which is fine, but now is when he can go for Slack Off. And at this point, I think I gave up counting how many Slack Offs he'd used because he's got plenty. I think he had like 2 or 3 left at this point. He's got plenty to see out this game. I'm going to go for the Body Slams. I have to keep going for Body Slam. But at this point, Electromorphosis, he slacks off again to be safe. It's the correct play to make in this instance. Gets him back to damn near full, and puts him out of range of any rogue crits that I might get. I briefly consider maybe going into Sylveon, but realistically speaking, that is never going to be the play. I have to Body Slam, I have to high roll or crit or something. Neither of these things are forthcoming, and here comes the Parabolic Charge. I didn't use Cyclozar very effectively this game. I should have gone into Cyclozar directly on this guy way more than I did. But I didn't, and I'm going to pay the price, because now it is Sylveon versus the world. Now, realistically, Sylveon is the Pokemon with the best chance of dragging this back. It takes on his last 2 Mons at the very least, and Bellibolts I just have to get lucky against. I go for Wish. I know that he can't take me out in any one hit, but he makes the good play and goes for Acid Spray, which is fine. He wouldn't have taken me out with any electric type hit, but essentially what this means is once I've got my Wish back, I'm still going to be at -2 special defense, and he will be able to 1v1 me because I can't get rid of that defense drop anymore. I'm kind of forced to go for the Protect here, even if he is going to switch out. I have to go for Protect. My hands are really kind of tied. And I do. I do go for the Protect, just to try and get myself back any kind of health that I can. He's going to go for the Volt Switch, which, again, it's fine. I'm kind of just delaying the inevitable, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, there is still a way that I can do this. I just have to get very lucky and play incredibly well. Realistically, it's not looking great. Wish, however, is still the right play to go for here. Even at -2, I will live this Volt Switch. As you can see, he's going to go for it. It's going to do a lot of damage, but yeah, I mean, that was the correct play on my part to try and go for the Wish to give me the best chance. As you can see, he's going to have to go into either his Hawlucha or his Weavile, and he's going to choose to go into the Hawlucha. Now, the range of health I'm at now is dubious as to whether I can live a hit or not. So once again, I am going to be forced to go for the Protect here. And I do. I go for the Protect to guarantee I can get that Wish back in. The Hawlucha is actually going to end up going for the Taunt, which was quite nice. Good that I was able to protect against that and get my Wish back. Very good play on his part to bring it and to use it in this instance. Basically, it would guarantee him the win against his Bellibolt, because I wouldn't be able to Wish Protect and try and get out with any more health than I had. So at this point, I'm just like, click Hyper Voice. I'm just thinking to myself, please give me the Hawlucha. But Squid's a much better player than that. There's no way he's going to give me a Mon for free when he can get out of this at a 3-0. So he's just going to go right on back into his Bellibolt as I end up going for the Hyper Voice. Now, he is Electromorphosized. And at this point, there is probably things I could have done better than what I end up doing. What I believe I end up doing is just going for Hyper Voice. I see he's at just below half, and maybe there's a chance. I go for the Hyper Voice. It's not looking guaranteed to be able to KO. In the end, he is just going to go for the Parabolic Charge. I am at -2. He has got the Electromorphosis boost. He has the Terra boost. I should have gone for Protect and tried to Wish there, really, but I didn't see it, and he ends up taking me out, and that is going to be the game. Yeah, not a great one for me. We do take another 3-0 loss, so once again, we are nothing if not consistent. Consistency is key. Very, very key. It's not a great... No, I thought I had something. It's not a great one for me. Yeah. I sorely underestimated the true threat. And if I'd paid more attention during the season, I would have seen how well Squid has been using that Bellibolt, because it's an absolute MVP of his team. He's been putting in work every single time it's brought, and he's got the best out of it. I underestimated it as a threat. I didn't bring any of the right things for it. Ironically enough, I think I probably bought most of the right things for the rest of his team. But yeah, things didn't go my way. I didn't play well around the Bellibolt. I didn't really take it seriously as a threat. So, yeah, that's an unfortunate one for me. But we move. It is, like I say, another 3-0 loss, so consistency. We're going to have to try and pick ourselves up after this one. 1-4 is not a position anyone wants to be in. But, like I say, we move, and we move on to our next game. I'm quite excited for this one because we're facing off against Dr. Slacking. That's going to be a fun one. I'm excited. Keep your eyes peeled, because you never know what changes are going to occur to teams. Keep an eye open. There might be some changes coming into PSG this season, but we will see what we will see. Like I say, please make sure you go and check out Squid's links down in the description. He makes fantastic content. He is, I think he makes content. He's got a YouTube link, so he must do. But either way, his links will be down there. Make sure you check them out, along with all the other participants in the PPL Bolt and Flare divisions. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on far too long. So my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.